very good. Okay, so the reason why we need to differentiate personal property, we need to differentiate separate personal property from the real property, because the law are different. Okay, the governing law or legal systems are different. Okay, applied to personal property and real property. Okay. So number one, right now we have definition what personal properties are. Then we need to talk about what is the major features we need to care about. We need to be careful about personal property. Number one issue, okay, the law which govern, okay, which regulate the personal property. Of course, it is not only law, but it's a major one. You're gonna hear about, you will hear about that in the future. It's under the name UCC. UCC. Anybody know what the UCC mean? What's U mean? Uniform. What's the second? What's the first C?
Uniform.
Uniform.
Commercial.
Code.
Code, yeah.
Uniform. Commercial. Code. Okay. This is the major statutory law govern personal property. Okay. And under UCC, there are two major categories. Okay. One is sales. The other one is security. Security means some people use personal property as a collateral, as a guarantee to get a loan. Okay, so there are, of course, probably the majority focus on sales. Okay, transaction. Say Mr. A sold a car to Mrs. B. This one patent under UCC. If we're talking about security, mean merchant A sold goods to merchant B. However, if you still remember financial accounting course, if you still remember that, okay, if you took my financial accounting before, maybe you remember this kind of case. Merchant A sold to merchant B, but the payment is net 30, not cash deal. Yeah. Between merchant to merchant, usually, okay, not necessary, but usually between merchants, the payment is not cash, it's net. Net 30, net 40, net 90. So if the payment is not in cash, not by cash, you can imagine the seller doesn't feel comfortable, right? If during the payment period the buyer filed bankruptcy, and the seller may lose everything. So usually for this kind of transaction, seller may enter into the agreement. Okay, it's under the name security agreement. Okay, seller and the buyer enter into the agreement. Say during the payment period, if buyer default, then the seller can take back the merchandise in the very high priority. Seller does not participate in the general distribution. The seller has priority. To take back the merchandise from the buyer. Okay. and that is under the security agreement. So both sales agreement and security agreement, both are then usually governed by UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. Any problem so far? Any questions so far for those of you coming late? We are going to talk about personal properties for today. Okay. So number one issue, we talk about what's the difference between personal property and real property, because later on we're gonna talk about real property, not today though. Okay. So before we talk about the detail of personal property, number one issue is we need to understand what kind of law govern personal property, and there is the name under the UCC. UCC stands for Uniform Commercial Code, and there are two major categories under the UCC. One is the sales. The sales. Sales mean, you know, Mr. A sold to Mr. B, and that's it, right? And the other part is called security agreement. And some people use personal property as a collateral, like automobile. If you go out to buy the automobile, if you don't pay cash, and you get a loan, and usually you understand the automobile you purchase is a collateral. If by default, seller or the lender can take back the automobile, right? So yes, questions. Any questions so far? Yes.
Yeah, sorry for being late. So the example that you just gave us about the selling in net 30 days, and the company defaults to pay, and you have the priority to get it back.
Yes.
So what happens if that goods no longer there?
Then the seller may hold out the price, even the price still there. Even the price still there. Okay. So let me repeat her questions. Okay. Her question is, assuming there was security agreement, say Sony's manufacturer, sold 100 units of camcorder to Fry's, for example, okay, and then both parties entered into the security agreement. Before the payment, okay, Sony has priority on this merchandise, right? And eventually, if any collateral or security agreement really happened, then this agreement will be recorded, okay, filed. So there's a record, not just between seller and the buyer. They will become the public record. Usually for the personal property, the record filed with Secretary of State. Okay, remember this, okay? Because when we talk about real property later on, if people use real property as collateral, recording with county, at least we are talking about California, okay? I think for the majority it's the same thing. So if you remember this, we can get a comparison later on. Okay, for the real property, recording with county government, but for the personal property, recording, register, or filing with state. So everybody can check that, can find out the record. And her question is very legitimate. Her question is, what happened if Fry's sold out those camcorder individually? Okay. Legally speaking, the collateral will not be terminated if buyer resell to anybody. You understand? In order to protect seller, in order to protect the holder of the lien, this is the lien, right? In order to protect Sony in this example, before Fry's pay off this payment, lien is always there. That really means seller will not cancel this filing, this record. So it doesn't matter how many times this item resold to anybody else. Lien still there. Lien still there. So think about another simple case like automobile. Think about this. If you get a loan, automobile loan, right? Before you pay it off, you cannot get a pink slip. That is another way to protect the debt, right? Something like this. Of course, in my example, probably it's not that good because we don't know whether or not Sony and Fry's, enter into such agreement. We don't know. But if that really happened, doesn't matter this camcorders resold how many times, the liens always there. So the result, what's the result? Number one, maybe there will be no any resale anyway because nobody gonna buy it. If you are the buyer, you are not protected. If you found out there's a lien on this camcorder, you will not buy it because you paid full price already. But a few months later, you found out Sony will get it back. So if there is the lien on it, number one issue, probably this item cannot be resale, just like your automobile. Impossible to resell. But if that really happen, the buyer may lose because there's a record as a publication. Everybody can find out. So for your questions, her questions is if what happened before the payment pay off and the item being sold. Number one issue, the article probably cannot be sold before pay off. But even that happened, the buyer may lose. Buyer will be in the disadvantage position. Okay. Anyway, before we get into the detail today, okay, we're going to talk about the personal property. Number one, what's the definition of personal property? Everything other than real property, to be simple. What is another sidetrack again? Okay, everything other than real property is personal property, right?